love. A lot of different perspectives on this subject because it's the all-encompassing root subject of all subjects. But the main point I want to address is the idea that God is either this outside character or the perspective or the opinion that God is within us or that we are God. And the truth is, it's both and it's neither, depending on how you look at it. I come back to the Christian teaching that God is omnipresent. And so I find it interesting that that can exist, but then there's the idea that we would be reaching or looking for God outside of ourselves. But if God is omnipresent, and that means everywhere, including the space that you are occupying in this very moment in your body, he or it would also be there as well. And then the other point of view, which is that I am God. Well, some people find that offensive or triggering, because that person may be saying, I am the God. But again, if God is everywhere and in everything, then that doesn't put any more validity or value in that presence of God within this being versus anything that you experience that appears to be outside of you. The point of this is, once we eradicate the line between what's happening in my body versus outside my body, you start to look at your entire perceived experience as a holographic representation of creation, and that in every particle of that, and especially in between every particle of that, is God, is the creative power of Source itself. Then the idea of it being outside of you sort of becomes irrelevant, because then we're coming back to the idea that, well, what am I? Am I this body? You could say this body is a representation of God, but I'm observing this body, so I'm not this body. Then maybe I'm not God, but I'm observing him. This feels like a greater truth, because when we come back to what is our actual identity, or who are we beyond our identity? We're the observer. And if the observer is just observing God, then everything is God. And we just have the privilege of observing. Does that make our observation, are we God in our observation? If everything is God, it's like we are God looking at God's self through the lens, so that one point of view could meet another. I hope this makes sense. I feel high talking about it. But the point is, it's not out there or in here, or is out there and it is in here. There's no difference. However you look at it, whatever point of view you have, you get to be right, and that's okay. But ultimately, God is in everything and everyone and everything you observe, and even within the observation itself. Peace.